In the first generation of Pokémon, every match operates within a rigid framework of known damage ranges and established defensive cycles. To succeed, a Pokémon must fit this framework or possess the raw stats to break it. Moltres is a statistical outlier designed for the latter. Its primary asset is a 125 special stat, tying for the highest in the tier alongside Articuno. This translates to concrete board pressure. Moltres can two-hit KO the dangerous physical attackers Tauros and Snorlax, threatening to remove them fast. However, this damage output is subject to a systemic bottleneck that prevents Moltres from dominating the higher tiers of play. That bottleneck is formed by the two primary defensive anchors of the format, Chansey and Starmie. These Pokémon possess the massive special bulk required to absorb Fire Blasts, alongside reliable recovery moves that can instantly undo any progress Moltres makes. While Moltres has unparalleled offensive force, it exists in an ecosystem specifically evolved to absorb and erase special damage. This is where Moltres diverges from Articuno. While Articuno is walled by bulky water types like Lapras, Moltres possesses a secondary method for breaking through defenses. As shown in this radar chart, Moltres carries a base 100 attack stat, a significant physical advantage over other special attackers. This physical strength allows Moltres to utilize a high-powered normal-type attack, Hyper Beam. The math is precise. Combining one Fire Blast with one Hyper Beam deals over 60% damage to both Chansey and Starmie. But the resources are slim. Both moves are capped at 8 power points, meaning a single miss can exhaust the utility Moltres brings. Because it relies on these low PP, high-impact moves, Moltres cannot be used early in the game to wear down walls. It must be kept reserved. Moltres has the capacity to break the tier's best defenders, but only once they have been pre-chipped into that 60% execution range. This creates a new problem. If we need the opponent's health at a specific threshold, how does Moltres safely secure that chip damage? It uses the low-power move Fire Spin. In Generation 1, Fire Spin uses a partial trapping mechanic. If the user is faster than the target, it prevents the opponent from attacking for 2 to 5 turns. The difficulty is that Moltres is naturally slower than Starmie, and it is easily crippled by the speed drop from Chansey's Thunder Wave. To regain the advantage, Moltres must use Agility. Agility outspeeds the entire tier while also serving a mechanical purpose. It recalculates the user's speed to ignore the penalty from paralysis. This is a high-risk engine. Fire Spin only has 70% accuracy, making these partial trapping sequences statistically fragile. If the player's luck holds, the Agility and Fire Spin combination provides the safe passage needed to reach that 60% knockout threshold. Success in the endgame requires specific conditions in the early game. We have to look at how a player prepares the board for a Moltres sweep. Usually, a player wants to freeze Chansey or put Starmie to sleep. In standard play, these are the most effective ways to neutralize walls. However, Moltres' own mechanics actively undo these status conditions. As this matrix shows, hitting a frozen opponent with a fire-type move instantly thaws them. Thawing a Chansey resets its threat level, giving the opponent a second chance to heal or paralyze Moltres. The interaction between Fire Spin and Sleep is just as counterproductive. Fire Spin deals minimal damage and is resisted by water types. This gives a sleeping Starmie safe trapped turns to wake up without taking significant damage. Most late-game sweepers rely on these statuses to immobilize the opponent during setup. Moltres is the exception. The most powerful status conditions actively sabotage its ability to sweep. If Sleep and Freeze are detrimental, the player must engineer a different board state. The first requirement is paralysis. A paralyzed Starmie is slower than Moltres by default. This allows Moltres to begin its Fire Spin trap immediately, without wasting a turn on Agility. The second requirement is Burn, which has a 30% chance to trigger from Fire Blast. Burn damage stacks with the chip damage from Fire Spin. This compounding residual damage accelerates the path toward the 60% health threshold. To use Moltres, you have to abandon traditional lockdown strategies and instead build a board centered on speed control and slow cumulative damage. This forces a very specific and counterintuitive early game strategy. You must allow the opponent's Starmie to be hit by a non-sleep status, preferably Thunderwave. You have to lure your opponent into letting a different Pokémon take the sleep status, specifically so Starmie remains available for the paralysis trap later. You also have to aggressively chip at Chansey early on, rather than attempting to freeze it. This game plan is strategically fragile. It requires ignoring the safest, most consistent paths to victory in standard RBY play. Even with a perfect setup, the ending depends entirely on the 85% accuracy of Fire Blast and the 70% accuracy of Fire Spin. That raw 125 special stat we started with is only effective if the player maintains total control over the opponent's status and health bars. Moltres is not a versatile attacker. It is a highly conditional payoff. A successful Moltres sweep demonstrates a player's ability to navigate around the game's safest strategies and break the defensive math that usually defines the tier.